Good morning, guys. Happy Vlogmas day 14. I can't believe it's day 14. I'm on my way to work. It's really early. I left a few minutes early. That way I can, what the hell is going on up here? That way I can stop and see my sister for a few minutes before I have to go home. Before I have to go to my job, I'm gonna actually go see her first. That's why I left a little early. What the hell is this? Something in the middle of the road. I guess there's somebody here making like surveying or something. So I'm gonna go stop at my sister's. It's 8:30, so I have a 40-minute drive to work just today. Today's a travel day. And then I'm gonna stop at her job first. It's only 8 o'clock. So I'm gonna stop at her job first. I keep repeating myself. And then I'm gonna go do my job, and then I'll be home by probably by 2:30 or 3. My daughter has cheer tryouts, kind of. I'm pretty sure most girls make the team. It's winter cheer, not football cheer. So that's what she's doing today. So she could be done anywhere between 2:30 and 3:30. So she can wait at school if I'm a few minutes late. That's not a big deal. But yeah, not much happens. I had a grocery haul that I put up for you guys. I made a delicious dinner last night. We had pork chops, Brussels sprouts for me, and then mashed potatoes and green beans for my husband and daughter. They don't like Brussels sprouts, but I could eat them every night. I love them. And I just showed you how I just kind of char them and fry them up. And they're really good. Now the pork chops, I prefer thinner cut pork chops. So they were about 1 inch thick, and usually I do 1/4 to 1/2 inch because I feel like they're a little tougher when they're cooked like that. And I'm not sure, unless you guys have any recommendations, how to tenderize them a little more. I do let them sit out and come to room temperature like you do with any kind of meat. But yeah, they were not tough like where it was like, ooh, this is a tough piece of meat, but not tender like we're used to. Why does this thing move on me? But I don't know, not much going on. I told you I was reading The Butcher and the Wren from Elena Yorkrat, maybe is her name. The girl from Morbid podcast, the host of it. This is just coffee. It's good. So the book is good. I actually have it right here with me in case anyone wants to know what I'm talking about. The Butcher and the Wren. Your Elena Yorkrat? I don't know how to say her last name. So I'm on the last. I have 20 pages left, of course, and my husband was ready to go to bed last night, so I couldn't finish the last 20 pages. I like it, and for a first-time author, she's very good at writing. The style of writing I enjoy. The only thing I would critique, and who the hell am I to critique anyone, is I feel like she throws in bigger words there that don't need to be used. They're kind of silly, but I understand why. You know, you want to sound intelligent, but some of the bigger words are kind of like silly and they make me laugh. But her writing style is really good. I'm like impressed at how good she really wrote for a first-time author. And I'm not a critique or anything. The only thing is I was a little confused. I can't tell if the book's past and present. I'm getting on the highway, or yeah, you're not gonna let me over, are you? No, you're gonna have to, asshole. So I can't tell if the book is like past and present. That's the only thing I'm just a little confused about. I wish it had been a hair longer. There was a little more character building and a little more description for the victims. Something just isn't connecting, and I can't tell if the serial killer in the book killed in the past, never was caught, and now is re-emerging in the future and killing again, or he never stopped killing. That's the only part I'm having confusion, and the big word she uses makes me laugh. But overall, I was pretty impressed. It was very impressive, and I'm somebody who has read many of the YouTuber books. I read Shane Dawson's first book. I read a couple of the Trisha Paytas's books when they first came out, like her stripper diaries. And I read some celebrity memoirs, like the Ellen DeGeneres one. I read, oh God, what's her name? Molly Phillips, was that her name? The one that ended up having a love affair, or was being, I don't want to say love affair, that sounds terrible. The one that's father was molesting her and raping her, from the Mamas and the Papas, I believe. I don't know. She's a singer and actress, and she used to be a severe drug addict, and then she, her memoir was really good. So I've read a lot of celebrity memoirs, a lot of celebrity books, a lot of YouTube books, and I have to say hers is definitely one of the better books I've ever read. She really did a nice job, and it was entertaining, and I'm excited to see the last 20 pages. I'm going to do that while I'm at the library today, and then I'll return that book while we're there. But yeah, it's like coming to an end, Vlogmas, and I'm definitely going to probably take 1 week where I don't upload videos, just because I feel videoed out. I'm recording, editing the day before's video, uploading, and then recording again and uploading. So usually I do 2 videos a week. So what I'll do is I'll record my 2 videos for that week on, let's say, a Monday, edit it, and I'll put them up throughout the week. And that's how I usually do it. So this is a very different style, and I enjoy it a lot. I do like it, but I don't know if I would ever do daily vlogging, but maybe every other day would be neat when there's more eventful things coming up. Last night, my husband ran me to Michael's to get my sister some art supplies for Christmas, but they wouldn't let me use any coupons. Usually Michael's they're usually the best with coupons, but their coupons, I understand with everything going on, we're kind of slack this year, but I still got a really good deal. Most of the stuff was already marked down. So I have to get my sister one more gift. We're not doing a lot. That would give her about 4 or 5 gifts, and I think that's a decent amount. She's an adult, and my husband and I, he wants like a pair of boot cut jeans. He wants for like dress, and he wants a new pair of sneakers, and then he's done. And then I actually asked for, and if you guys have any recommendations, I would love to hear it. So I would love a steam mop. My floors, I thought at first might be real wood. I don't know how to tell if my floors are actual wood or if they're like laminate. I don't know what it's called. But I would love to get a steam mop. I feel like that would make my life so much easier. I want a cheap, because I have a KitchenAid mixer. I just want one of those $10 Walmart hand mixers just for quick and easy, like mashed potatoes, things like that, because I do all my baking in my KitchenAid. That is probably my most used kitchen item, other than like pots and pans. That KitchenAid, I've used it. I used to use it so much. I don't as much now, but when I lived down at the shore and at my husband's old job, there was like 6 employees, because it was a smaller business before he got in the union. When he was working welding, I would make cookies for all the guys, because it was a smaller business. It was a little more tight knit, so you knew people on a personal level. So I would make cookies for their families, and I think 1 year, and then it just became all the time because people really loved my baked goods. I think I cooked or baked over 200 and something cookies. It was a lot of cookies, and I think it took me 8 hours to do all the cookies. It was a fun day, but it was a long day. I used to make every St. Patrick's Day, I used to send in Irish potatoes, like I always make really good sweet, like the Irish potatoes where you do cream cheese, coconut, powdered sugar, and then you roll them in cinnamon. I make them every St. Patrick's Day. Then I used to make homemade banana bread is one of my big ones. I used to make homemade peanut butter Reese's peanut butter cups. So my husband's one buddy, he was this young kid, and I love him. I really do. I used to experiment and send stuff in for him to try, and if he liked it, then it was always good. But he was like 22 years old at the time, and of course he likes anything. He's a guy, but he really enjoyed a lot of things. And I felt bad because one time another wife sent in something, and his boss said to him, Danny, your wife usually bakes better than this. What the hell is this? And he's like, she didn't make it. Renee's wife made it. And he's like, oh, I love it. Let me have another piece. So it kind of boosted my ego a little bit. Now, my mom was a professional baker. She baked for a living, and she cooked for a living, and she was magnificent. She never had professional training, but she had been cooking since she was a teenager in kitchens, and she was magnificent. And before she died, she landed, of course, her dream job in a yacht club. She worked in a yacht club where you kind of pay to have a membership. It's beautiful, and she really loved it. And she would do weddings and banquets, and she would make really good money. She didn't make good money hourly. In my opinion, she should have been paid way more. However, when she would do banquets and weddings, she made good tips. They loved her. And when she passed away, you guys, you know how like I don't know if anybody's ever set up a funeral before, but like you're only allowed so much time when it's not like, she wasn't, her funeral wasn't like at a personal church of ours. We did it right at the funeral home, and the man was incredible who did it. He was just the most kind person, and he was from the church my grandmother went to at the time. But we did it at his funeral home, and you're only allowed like 2 hours. You know what I mean? I don't remember exactly. And he came up to me, he's like, listen, we know there's so many people, and we're going to extend it 1 hour free of charge, because the funeral was so expensive. And she was so loved. I'm telling you, I met people from my past, from people I've never met. There had to have been, I'm not exaggerating, if not more than 200 people there. They just kept coming and coming and coming and coming. They were people she met at work, people she worked banquets for. She had just made such an impression on them. And while she wasn't always like the most affectionate parent, she was an amazing employee and good worker, and people loved her. And do you want to know something so incredible? She made such an impression at the yacht club that she worked for a couple years, that they paid for her funeral for me. I was so scared, and I couldn't afford it at the time. It was I remember it was like $7,900 for everything. And that wasn't including her plot. That wasn't including the burial. I'm sure nobody wants to hear this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. So it was $7,900, and they put me on a payment plan. And that was after my uncle had put down a $2,000 deposit for me. So really it was over $10,000, which that's about how much it cost. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. I was so scared. Like I said to myself, told him I'll pay it for the rest of my life if I have to, as long as she has. I would never leave her name soiled. And don't you know, these people, not only did they raise money and they paid off her car for me, so I had a vehicle for years. But it was only like, she owed only like $1,200, but it didn't matter. So I paid off her car. They paid off the complete funeral with no balance, including the $2,000 deposit. And they paid our mortgage for 1 year. I couldn't believe it. It was incredible. Yeah, they paid our mortgage for a year. It was incredible what they did for us. And in that year, because we didn't have a mortgage payment, my husband and I, that's what gave us an opportunity to put money away so that we could take care of my sisters. If it hadn't been for that, not that our mortgage wasn't a lot in Cape May. We had bought our home in 2011. So our mortgage, I believe at the time but you got to remember our house was only 900 square feet. I believe our mortgage was $1,250, which is nickels and dimes compared to what people pay now. But saving that $1,000 or that $1,200 is what was able to let us. I can remember we saved $5,000 in the bank. It was the very first time we ever had any kind of money, and we had about $5,000 that we had been able to save, and I was able to go to Boston for my sister's band competition. I was able to send her to I don't remember if it was Nashville. I was able to afford to send her to another band competition, and I was able to go. The Boston trip was incredible. I was able to do a lot for them because I was able to save up. Now, $5,000 isn't much now, but at the time when we had nothing, I just felt that sense of security, and I was able. That's when I got this job that I've been doing for the last 7 years. And my husband went to his boss and said, listen, I have to raise these girls now, so I really need to take on more responsibility and really step it up. And that's kind of where our life began with all that. So yeah, I'm not really sure why I told you all that, except that we're kind of riding in the car together and just chatting. So I'm going to stop and see my sister for a few minutes. I didn't get to see her on my birthday. Her and I are very, very, very close. I'm close to both of my sisters, but we both have just such very different dynamics, very different relationships, and I think that's okay. I think it's okay, and we all just know each other's faults, and we're okay with that. Also, I would love for you guys just to keep a little, I don't know if you pray or if you just send good thoughts, but my sister, she needs a job so bad, that poor girl. If you could just keep her in your thoughts over the holidays, that maybe she gets an opportunity somewhere, that would be so appreciative of me to you. It's just, I don't know what I believe, but I just say a little thought for her every day to please, whether it's God or my mom or the universe or just good intentions to please. If she could get a secure job, it would just make this year even better than it's already been so far. So I'm working on positivity and being grateful for the opportunities that come my way and stop dwelling on anything negative. I had gotten myself haired up the other day, and then I tried to immediately pull myself out of the negativeness because there's a lot of positive right now in my life, and I need to focus more on that than anything negative. So I'm just not where I want to be at 35, and that's okay. I feel like I get a little embarrassed, and I know people have said you shouldn't, and I understand. It's just the way I am. I'm just like embarrassed at the thought of like, I'm 35 years old and I want to go to hairdressing school. I feel like I could, it's silly to say, but I feel like I could really be a great hairdresser, and I would put all of my heart into it, where I would make people beautiful. I want that reaction. I love putting makeup on my daughter or my sister, and then they look at themselves, and that confidence they get is just such an incredible thing to me. And I want to do that for people, and I want to be the best at it, and I want to work hard and make sure I know everything about it so I can make people feel good about themselves. Because I know sometimes it's always easy to say if you can't fix the inside, it doesn't matter what the outside looks like. But sometimes, in my opinion, you need to fix the outside first and then fake it until you feel okay. Sometimes that's how it has to be. Not everybody can fix the inside right away. But if you could give somebody just a little bit of confidence in themselves, maybe that's all they need, is that little push. And I feel like I could be that for somebody. But also I feel like is it weird I'm 35 years old and going to hairdressing school when most of these girls are doing it at 18 years old? But I really want to do it, and I feel like I'm the only thing holding myself back, and that's the damn truth. It's just me. I don't think anyone's going to look at me twice there or give a shit how old I am. And I need to just stop making excuses. I make excuses, and then that's why I don't do anything. And then I said to my husband, oh, well, maybe, pay attention, sir. Maybe I should just go to medical assistant school. He's like, is that what you want to do? I said, no, but, and he's like, no, why would you settle instead of doing what you know you want to do? And my daughter said something to me the other day. She's like, she's going to start looking for a job once the spring comes. Now that she's 16, you know, she has a better opportunity finding a job. And we were joking because she asked for those Morgan Wallen tickets. And I said, Brooke, most of the time Daddy and I work something out and we get you what you want. But I can't justify the money that he's asking. It's wrong. Like, you're not Fleetwood Mac. You're not Stevie Nicks. I'm sorry. And I love Morgan Wallen, but I am not paying $1,000. You are kissing my ass for one ticket. Maybe if it was Stevie Nicks, okay, maybe. Actually, absolutely, I would go see Fleetwood Mac or Stevie Nicks. But that's the only excuse. AC/DC, okay, yeah. Rolling Stones, you're not the Rolling Stones. You get what I'm saying? Like, who the hell do you think you are? So I had to tell her, like, no, we can't do it this year. And then we were like, what about Luke Combs? And she's like, I don't know. But I am like, if my husband got me Luke Combs tickets, I would be hysterical. I love him so much. But they have the Tidal Wave Festival this summer. And I told her, you know, if you save up some money, I'll match whatever you save up. And we'll get tickets, her and I, and we'll go to Atlantic City and do the Tidal Wave or whatever it's called. And she loved that idea. She's like, oh, I can't remember the guy's name, the one country singer. She's like, I'd put every money in my bank account to see him. I said, you think that until you're making your own money. She's like, Mom, you can replace money, but you can't replace, or you can't get back those memories. And I was like, you know what, this kid's right, and I need to start remembering that money can come and go, but you can't have those memories. Not that I'm getting them Morgan Wallen tickets. That's not why. No friggin' way. But I definitely want to start doing more with my family and stop worrying so much about other things. Because that night, when we went to Broadway the other night, it was just really, really nice and a lot of fun. So I feel like I bore you guys enough. I'm getting off the highway here very soon, and then I'll be on like a back road to Cape May County. So that's what we are doing. I love chatting with you guys. It's like having a girlfriend. It's just a shame there's no way to chat back. Maybe I can, I know I say it a lot, to start doing lives, and I think I'm going to. I look at my analytics, and most people are on in the evenings that watch me, so I would have to plan around it and see what I could do. It would just be fun to interact with people. Hi, you guys. As you can see, I am finally home. My dogs are going ballistic. Butters, leave your brother alone. Would you stop? Come here. Come here. Oh, why do you have sad ears? Why do you have such sad little baby ears? Ooh, I'm so excited to see you guys. I was only gone a couple hours. Really? Peach, stop. So I am home. I don't know how much more we'll film or I'll vlog today. I feel like you guys are going to get sick of seeing me. I went to my grandmother's, like I said. I worked for a couple hours. It's a lot later in the day. I'm just waiting for my daughter to call for a cheer. I knew my grandmother was off this morning. I could just tell. So I kept prying her because that's just who I am. I don't let anything go. And I wanted to know why she was so moody and like what was going on. And it just turned out she was upset about a few things. And here's my thing. Like I said, I just know when someone needs to talk. So I will be that person that will pry and pry and pry. Because it's like, just get it out and let me help you. Well, it turned out she was having a few issues with a few other family members. But, and I know this is like a little trigger warning because I know this can be very upsetting, especially with domestic violence. So my cousin and I were very, very close growing up, where we were almost sisters. And then we had a small falling out, well, a big falling out after my mom died. We have made up we never have talked about the issue at hand, what went on. We kind of just put it on the back burner and just let things go for families, for other family members. So while it's not resolved, it's over with, the fighting. I just couldn't take it anymore either. But my cousin has just been in one terrible relationship after the other. And it's like a pattern in my family with these women, with the women. They just seem to pick not the best of men. And she finally thought she met a pretty decent guy. Now, I saw red flags when he didn't want my nieces and nephews around him. And the last year and a half, he just seemed to have never tried to make any type of effort. He has no kids for himself. And it's not like he's in his 20s. The guy's in his 30s. And it's like most people in their 30s have children. Like, it's unrealistic to think, it's more the norm than not. And out of nowhere, according to her, I don't know, he put his hands on her. And luckily and thankfully, she's brave enough to leave. But I know that's not the situation for every woman or man in that situation. My mother couldn't leave when she was going through it until it got so bad. And my big thing is that, this is why I check in with my daughter so much. And you should check in with your teenagers, because when I was a teenager, I was in a very, very dangerous and scary domestic situation that was way too old for me to be, and I didn't understand, and I wasn't mature enough to understand what was going on. And it's more common than I think people realize that these teenage girls and boys become abusive, or they get into these situations that they don't understand. I was 14 years old and I thought I was seeing a 16-year-old, but it turned out he was in his 20s. And, people might be like, how didn't you know? Well, number one, he didn't look like he was older. And number two, it took someone outside the situation to finally be like, hey, do you know he's, not, it's just a long situation. Needless to say, it turned into such a nightmare for me, and it really molded me growing up into, I was 14 years old playing with, I'm not kidding you guys, I was in Catholic school playing with Barbie dolls, and then in a blink of an eye, in less than 6 months, I was thrown into an adult situation, and I was the victim. I was absolutely naive and unable to make adult decisions. That's why I check in with my daughter and I educate her, and I don't tell her things in graphic detail by any means, but I don't sugarcoat anything for her. And when she asks me questions, I'm very, very honest. And I think that's important. And I don't hide things from her. And I don't, obviously kids are on a need-to-know basis. She's 16. She doesn't need to know certain things, but I want her to know, like, the signs of things that are not good, because I didn't. And I was so naive. I knew nothing about men. Nothing. I barely knew anything about my own body, let alone what happens with men in adult relationships. And it was very tragic and sad. And I don't talk about it, but I know how important it is to share stories on here, because there's so many women and young girls that feel alone. And I never realized it. Like, I didn't have the relationship with my mother where I could tell her things, but luckily I did have a grandmother, but she was a little older. There's nothing like being able to tell your mom things. And my dogs are wrestling. Could you two stop? And that's what I am for my daughter. My daughter can tell me, and does tell me, things about, I'm like, Brooke, I could have lived a lifetime over without knowing that. But I'm thankful that you told me. So it's just, I would love to be that for somebody. I just, like, you don't realize there's so many girls out there that don't know how to properly wash themselves. Who, you think it's funny, but it's, in reality, they don't know proper hygiene. They don't know that this should not be happening, or this should be happening, or this is normal. And then you listen to these idiots online, like how you should smell certain ways or do this and this, and it's not realistic. And it's just like, where, I don't even know how to say this without it becoming, but like, I feel like there's part of this generation that has watched things online and they get the wrong idea about what women and men should do privately. And it's unrealistic, and it's not what you see online, if you have any idea what I'm saying. And these poor kids are trying to think that that's what certain aspects of your life are sexually are supposed to be. And in some cases it can be. If you're comfortable with your partner, you do whatever you want. But these expectations from these kids, it's tragic. And I hear some of these stories from my daughter, and I'm like, do these girls not talk to their mom? Do they not understand some stuff? And it's like, I said to her, to the one girl, to her, I'm like, you know, does your one girlfriend at least know, like, about her period and stuff? And she's like, yes. I'm like, you know, I would never make her uncomfortable, but if she had any questions that she wasn't comfortable with her mom, she certainly could say something to me, and I would tell her. So I knew my grandmother was upset, and I just hope my cousin can kind of get herself straightened out and get home to her kids and not go back. That's the most important thing in these domestic violence situations, is not to try your best not to go back. I know some women don't have a choice, and my mother was one of them, and I was in situations I shouldn't have been in. And my uncle, you know, hindsight's 20/20, but he was a violent bastard, and that's all my cousin saw, was that her father beat her mother up. And, you know, you don't realize it until you're older, like, just how bad things can be. And luckily, my aunt is with an amazing man now, and he really takes good care of her and spoils her. And I just hope someday my cousin can... Boys! I just wish she could even find a man, just... I don't know, that's nice to her, that's all. It's sad. Alright, you guys, so if anything else, I'm sorry this one was weird today, a little too deep for the... I don't know. I'm just sharing my experiences as they come. So I will see you all a little later, or I'll see you tomorrow.